Good day. My name is Kris Jacobsen, and I'm here to present to you the characteristic or value of responsibility. When I thought about this from the get-go, I thought, where do people get their information from? A lot of it's from the internet or from Google. So I decided to type in responsibility into Google and see what kind of answers I was able to receive. There was definitely a ton of different definitions about responsibility, and here I posted my top 3 favorite ones, but in short, it says or states that responsibility is being held accountable for finishing a certain task or job, or being over a group of people that need to finish a certain task or job. So when I turn to the scriptures, one of my favorite parables is the parable of the 10 talents. In this parable, our Savior is teaching us about accountability or responsibility for our actions and for things which we have been given. So he tells a story about a master who gave one servant 5 talents, gave another servant 2 talents, and then gave another servant 1 talent. At that point, they were given the opportunity to be able to go out and to be able to do something with those talents. Well, the one that had the 5 talents was able to double those and increase into 10 talents. The one that had 2 talents would double those also to another 4 talents. The one that had 1 talent, though, he was fearful and afraid of his master, so he took that talent and he went and buried it in the earth, not knowing that his Savior or his master wanted him to be able to go out and increase those talents. And I have a short clip here that talks about our Savior and as he tells the story of the 10 talents, and I hope you enjoy that. It's one of my favorite videos. But what it comes down to for me is, are you faithful or are you fearful? Our Savior tells the one that increased their talents, says, "Thou good and faithful servant, you have been made a ruler over a few things, I will make you a ruler over many things." This is what he wanted us to do. But when it came to the one that buried the talent, he called him slothful, and he was upset with him because he had fear. He was unwilling to go out and to try and better himself, where the one that had the 5 and the one that had the 2, they were willing to go out, take chances, build on what they had already been given. And for that, they were rewarded because they were faithful not only in their Savior, but they were also faithful in the abilities in which they were blessed with. When it comes to coaching responsibilities, there's many different things that you can do as a coach to be responsible not only for yourself, but to teach responsibility to your student athletes. And some of those things are modeling, okay, helping shape, giving them trust. There's a few things I have here on the slide, okay, monitoring their performances, developing things. One of the big things is helping your student athletes identify their strengths and their weaknesses, helping them understand that, yeah, look, you're good at some things. Let's continue to build on those. In a positive manner, let's look at some of their weak points and let's make those weak points strength. That's not only going to better them as an individual, but can also better your team. 3 ways that I've felt are best to teach responsibility are modeling, okay? As yourself, you need to hold yourself accountable. When you make a mistake, you need to admit that you make a mistake. You need to let your student athletes know, look, I messed up right here, but this is what I'm going to do to learn from my mistake. A lot of times I think we're afraid to do that. We're afraid to admit that we were wrong or we did something wrong because we don't want our kids to lose confidence. But our kids need to know that making a mistake's okay, that you need to be held responsible for your actions and what you did, but how are you going to grow from it? How are you going to learn from it? How are you going to get better from it? Because we're all going to make mistakes. We need to be responsible for that, and then we just got to continue to build and grow and learn from it. Okay? And then trusting your student athletes. This is huge because you need to show your student athletes that you trust them by giving them certain responsibilities, by giving them the opportunities to learn and to grow. And when they don't fulfill those responsibilities, not to necessarily get all upset with them, but to take them inside and say, okay, so why didn't you fulfill your responsibility? Okay, so what can we do next time so that you can fulfill your responsibility? That way they're able to build and grow and learn and understand that it's okay to take chances, it's okay to make mistakes, because I'm gonna have people here that love me, that care for me, and they're gonna help me. And that's only gonna help them as a person. And that's where positive feedback comes in. One of the things that I learned coaching a long time ago, instead of saying whatever team loses or if you lose, is to change that word into who doesn't win or who didn't win. Just flipping lose and win, or substituting the word win for lose, adds such a positive impact on those kids. Because then when they aren't successful in a certain drill or activity, they're talking about how they didn't win, and they're thinking about a positive word and not a negative word. This next clip I have is from the Rocky movie when he is talking to his son and talking about being held accountable for his actions and what he needs to do. And one of my favorite quotes from that movie talks about, if you know what you're worth, you have to go out and get what you're worth. You yourself know your own self-worth, and you have to be willing to go out and get what you're worth. It's too critical to just sit back and just kind of hang out. If you know you're worth more, then go out and get it. But you have to be willing to put in the work to do what you need to do in order to go get what you feel you deserve. Okay? In the books that Jeffrey Marks wrote, this was a fantastic book, a wonderful read, when he's talking about teaching leadership or responsibility to his kids. He's talking about how a lot of people look at them when they have that football jersey on, holding them accountable for their responsibilities and understanding that they are going to influence a good number of people. And this is true. As a coach and as an athlete, you have to be held accountable for your actions, because your actions are going to influence a great many people. And then in the Bruce Bowen book, I loved how he talked about reinforcement. I mentioned it earlier, positive reinforcement is so important. When your kids accomplish a certain responsibility, it's important to either spotlight them individually or you spotlight them as a whole. So that way they know that they did something good. To conclude, I have a couple little things. One of my favorite poems is called The Man in the Mirror. You can never cheat yourself. You have to be willing to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to be willing to be honest with yourself and know what you did wrong and know what you did right, so that you can better yourself as a person. Because like I said, you can never cheat yourself. And my greatest responsibility that I have in my life is to my family. I'm thankful for the opportunity which I have to teach 5 wonderful boys and a loving wife who loves and supports me, and have them understand what it's like to be a man and how to be responsible for their actions. I love when I see them just do something that all they did was see me do and they start copying me. To me, that shows me how important modeling and shaping is. And those are my final thoughts. You have to be a good model, you have to be willing to shape, and you have to be willing to trust. But you are responsible for you, and this is one of the most important things that you can learn. Thank you for your time.